still feeling. It- I have to admit that I have had my own kind of ways of coping here
Mhm.
lately. And one of those things is by snacking. I've been snacking a whole lot more
Mhm.
than I normally do. And my favorite is that bourbon ice cream. It's no bourbon inside of it, but
It's
it's
very
the
good.
Häagen-Dazs bourbon, a flavored ice cream. I think I have, yeah, become kind of dependent on it to kind of just make me feel good in those moments. I'm not eating a lot of it, but I'm eating enough of it to where I know that it is becoming something that I'm kind of leaning on and dependent on to kind of lift my spirits every now and then.
Mhm.
And I mean, considering everything we're going through, people are leaning on different things, ways of coping, including, food addictions and other addictions. Some of us have tried marijuana for the first time, not myself, but some other folks have had some deliveries made. I've heard a few friends talking about that. Those marijuana delivery services actually have increased their memberships and services. And it just, got me to thinking about this whole idea of, you know, ways of coping and
Yeah.
substances that we're all using, whether it be food or, mild to moderate to severe narcotics. So let's talk a little bit about substance abuse. What are the origins of substance abuse in your opinion? And, how does it begin for someone? I know for me, it's began under stress.
Sure, sure. So people tend to, and I guess let's start off with just the concept of understanding coping strategies. So when you or we are under stress and we are attempting to return to previous level of functioning, there's lots of things that we can do that will help us or potentially help us return to previous level of functioning. And so that can be something as simple as going to the gym. It can be, reconnecting with old family members. It can be forgiving people who have harmed you in the past. It can be lots of different things. But you have to understand that we have to separate coping strategies dichotomously into healthy coping strategies and not so healthy coping strategies. But they both count as coping strategies. So that's like the interesting part of even substance usage is it might actually work, right? It might actually serve to reduce one's stress level, to help one get beyond previous childhood abuse or neglect. Certainly, substances can do a lot of things that actually have a certain level of arguably good to them. And I guess the other part is you have to understand that there are prescribed medications and medications that are prescribed. We in our society have accepted them, and they certainly count as you know people count them as healthy coping strategies and healthy ways of dealing with whatever ailment that you have. And then you also have the things that are kind of street sort of drugs and they're narcotics that, of course, are banned and illegal no matter where you go. But all in all, I do want to just make sure that we understand that there are ways of coping that can be helpful and hurtful and can hurt you as well. And it's not always a clear line between the two of them. And sometimes people use them in two things together. So you might use um, promiscuity along with alcohol, and that combination might be helpful for some people. Once again, we have to look at whether these things are helping or hurting in a way. But to answer your question, the origins of substance usage kind of really came based on people dealing with certain ailments and certain categories of mental illness in a way that they noticed that, oh, in addition to me treating this condition, this is also helping me deal with my anxiety, right? And so when you notice that a side effect is somehow helping, of course, the pharmaceutical companies at times then start to prescribe it for that reason. I believe that erectile dysfunctioning medication was used for that same, or excuse me, it came about in that same sort of way. I don't remember exactly what it was prescribed for initially. I think it may have been like
Yeah, sleep disorder or something like
something
that.
something of that nature. But they noticed that males got an erection with when they would use that medication. So now they're prescribing it for that particular purpose. So
And
we just
losing
have
sleep.
there you go, there you go. So we have to be careful when it comes to substance usage. And I guess let me paint this picture as well. There's a difference between substance use, abuse, and dependence. And it's kind of on a continuum, right? So an individual can use a substance and not necessarily experience any negative effects. Maybe it was an experimentation phase, they use it and they're gone about their life. Of course, the second level of it with abuse, that tends to come with a diagnosable condition, and you might have legal problems. You might have lost certain friends. Maybe your family has staged an intervention. Maybe
Mhm.
you've noticed a certain level of other side effects and how it's affected you. Maybe you're gaining weight. Maybe you're losing sleep. There's a predictable amount of side effects or effects, I should say, that happen along with it for it to qualify as abuse. And then dependence is like kind of the end of the spectrum, where an individual not only has suffered the effects of abuse, but there's also physiological sort of dependence. So a person might experience withdrawal symptoms, or they might also need a higher amount or a larger amount of the substance to achieve that same desired sort of effect, right? And so if someone were to smoke marijuana, for example, and in their beginning stages of usage, it all they needed was a little bit. But after years of usage, now you might need a lot more of that to achieve that same desired sort of effect. So it is important for us to understand that usage alone doesn't necessarily mean that we have a problem, but we can certainly look at certain behaviors and effects, and it can, of course, go all the way to dependence.
And looking at certain personalities, who becomes addicted? Who are these people who are more likely to become addicted? Do
Yeah.
you have?
Well, there are certain different theories, and this is something that we don't completely understand totally. A lot of people will assume that people who become addicted to substances are just people who are weaker individuals, people who are less likely to be able to discipline themselves to avoid certain things or to engage in certain things, and that's largely a myth. Like
Okay.
no matter how strong or not strong you are, it doesn't mean that that is going to predict with high accuracy whether you'll become addicted and dependent upon a substance or not.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Bay Area Mental Health Hour. Please visit our YouTube channel today, subscribe, and click on the notifications bell so that you can receive updates on our latest episodes. This conversation on substance abuse and therapy will continue. If you or someone you know is in crisis, help is available at the Substance Abuse and Mental Illness Helpline at 1-800-950-6264. Or call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. Your support makes it possible for us to produce content like this. Thank you. Today's live stream is being brought to you by Clari-T Media. Support the San Francisco Dreamkeeper Initiative, recognizing and investing in the diverse Black and African American communities of San Francisco with a wide range of programs to support youth, families, seniors, and members of the Black LGBTQ+ communities. Dreamkeeper San Francisco is fostering hope for generations of Black people to feel free to dream boldly. Visit dreamkeepersf.org today. Today's live stream is being brought to you by the San Francisco Dreamkeeper Initiative Storytelling and Narrative Shift Cohort, supporting Black San Francisco as we dream boldly and tell our stories. BlackFacts.com, the world's largest encyclopedia of Black facts, and Clari-T Media, human stories and grassroots solutions, because out of chaos comes clarity. Clari-T Media.
Masks reduce the spread of COVID-19. COVID-19 spreads from person to person through respiratory droplets as we cough, sneeze, talk, or breathe. Wear a mask that covers your nose and mouth and fits snugly against the side of your face without gaps. Masks act as a barrier to help stop respiratory droplets from spreading to others. They also act as a barrier to help stop droplets in the air from spreading to you. If you are within 6 feet of a person with COVID-19, you could be exposed. Stay at least 6 feet from other people and wear a mask. If possible and safe, increase ventilation by opening windows, doors, and using fans. Wear a mask over your mouth and nose. Stay at least 6 feet away from others. Avoid crowds and poorly ventilated spaces. Wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds. Get a COVID-19 vaccine when it's available to you.
This public service announcement is being brought to you by Clari-T Media. Out of chaos comes clarity. Tune in weekdays to the Bay Area Mental Health Hour on YouTube, Instagram, and on Facebook. You'll find us covering issues surrounding your everyday coping skills and your mental health and wellness. And remember, your mental health matters as much as your physical health.